When you look at a high-end property, what's one of the most overlooked details that screams quality? It's not always the grand entrance or the perfect landscaping, it's the gutters. Most people see them as just a utility, right? But for a premium property, they're a statement piece, a signal of long-term value and attention to detail.
So, I'll ask you, what message are your property's gutters sending right now? Do they say permanence, quality, no corners cut? Or are they kind of hinting at future repair bills and maintenance headaches? Believe me, that choice of material sends a powerful signal to every single person who sees it.
And this really gets to the heart of it. Standard gutters, they're a recurring expense. You're basically stuck in a loop of installation, maintenance, and then eventually replacement. Copper is completely different. It's a permanent asset, a one-and-done investment that doesn't just last, it actually looks better as it gets older.
Which brings us to what we call the copper advantage. There's a reason you see copper gutters on those beautiful golf course clubhouses, high-end restaurants, and boutique hotels. They get it. They know this isn't just about managing rainwater, it's about their brand image and smart long-term operations.
It all really boils down to these three key things. First, you get durability that's just off the charts. It can handle decades of tough weather. Second, you get this timeless look, a finish that actually evolves and becomes more beautiful over time. And third, you get a system that is remarkably low maintenance, saving you time, money, and hassle year after year.
Let this number just sink in for a minute. 50 to 100 years. An aluminum system, a good one, might last you 20, maybe 30 years. That means you're replacing it 2 or 3 times over the same period. A single copper installation can genuinely outlive the building it's on. Now that is what a permanent asset looks like.
And here's what's so cool about copper. It tells a story over time. When it's new, it has that bright, shiny new penny look. But as the years go by, it naturally oxidizes, shifting through these deep bronze and brown colors until finally it develops that classic, elegant green patina you see on historic buildings. That isn't decay, folks. That's character. And here's the science behind why it's so low maintenance. Copper is a natural algicide. What does that mean? It means all that gunk, the mold, the algae, the moss that loves to clog up regular gutters, it just can't grow on copper. This makes a huge difference, seriously cutting down on blockages and how often you need to clean them. Okay, so it's tough, it's beautiful, but I know what you're thinking. What's it going to cost me? So let's dive into the lifetime investment case. Let's look at the total cost of ownership, because for any serious property manager or owner, that long-term financial picture is what really counts. And let's be direct. The upfront cost for copper is higher, no doubt about it. You're looking at somewhere between $20 and $40 per linear foot installed. And yeah, that number can cause a little sticker shock. But that's only chapter 1 of the financial story. Because look what happens when you zoom out and look at a 50-year timeline. See that replacements column? While you're tearing out and replacing aluminum or steel systems 2 times, copper is sitting there at a big fat 0. When you factor that in, the total cost for copper suddenly becomes incredibly competitive. This chart just makes it crystal clear. That big gap in cost you see at the beginning, well, after 5 decades of replacements and extra maintenance on the cheaper stuff, that gap all but disappears. You basically end up paying a similar amount. But with copper, you got a vastly superior product for all those years. So, let's talk return on investment. First, you completely avoid the cost and the major headache of 2 or 3 full replacements. Second, you could be saving up to $800 a year just on cleaning and maintenance. And third, this is a big one, you're actually boosting your property's value. Appraisers see copper as a premium feature that adds serious curb appeal. So what happens when you combine all those savings with the increase in property value? You get this, a potential return on investment of 180% over 25 years. This totally changes the conversation, right? This isn't just an expense, it's a high-performing asset for your property.
Now, a smart investment means looking at every angle. So, it's time for an honest assessment. We need to be transparent and talk about some of the potential drawbacks, because that's the only way to make a truly informed decision.
And I'm just going to say it plain and simple. Copper isn't for everyone. If your number one goal is the absolute lowest upfront cost, or maybe you're working on a project with a really short ownership timeline, there might be other options that make more sense for you.
So here are the main things to keep in mind. That high initial cost, that's the biggest hurdle. The installation is also complex. It really demands a specialist. The high scrap value, unfortunately, can make it a target for theft in some unsecured areas.
And if it's not installed just right, the runoff can stain porous materials like concrete.
And this quote right here, it nails the most important point. To get that 100-year lifespan, the installation has to be flawless. This is absolutely not a weekend warrior project. Mistakes are incredibly expensive to fix, and you need a true craftsman who knows how to handle this material.
Which leads us perfectly into our final section, choosing your expert partner. Because the success of this entire investment hinges on the skill of the installer. Getting a specialist is completely non-negotiable.
So what are you looking for? A true specialist will have a portfolio you can see, filled with successful copper projects. They'll have the skill to custom-make seamless gutters right there on site, for a perfect fit. They'll use the right heavy-gauge copper and proper soldering methods. And of course, they'll back it all up with a solid warranty.
And a great example of this kind of specialist, especially for anyone in the Manchester, New Hampshire region, is New England Gutter Systems. With over 15 years focused specifically on copper, they're exactly the kind of trusted experts you need to make sure this critical investment is done right the first time.
See, a real pro follows a meticulous process like this. It always starts with a detailed consultation. Then comes the custom on-site fabrication. The installation itself is an art form. Careful mounting, expert soldering, and it always ends with a final inspection to ensure perfection. This is the kind of professional approach that guarantees the 100-year performance you're paying for.
At the end of the day, choosing copper gutters is more than just an upgrade. It's a decision to invest in your property's legacy with an asset that's built to perform for a lifetime. If you think you're ready to take that step, your next move is to talk to an expert. You can learn more and schedule a consultation at the link you see right here.